Hello and welcome to the Q&A about the award-winning Myanmar Diaries, which is currently in consideration for Best Documentary Feature at the Oscars. I'm Anna Smith, I'm a film critic and I'm a fan of this film, so I'm very pleased to be joined by members of the Myanmar Film Collective, who are anonymous filmmakers, and to producer Petter Lom. Welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you very much for this powerful film. It's thank you for your bravery and your passion and your activism in making this. It's as a viewer, to me, it's an extraordinary film that feels very, very important. I'd like to ask each of you why you felt compelled to take part and to make this film. Perhaps I'll start with you, Petter.
Oh, whoa! I should be in the background, but sure, I'll start. Well, we have a lot. My wife and I, my partner Corinne Van Egret, who's not here, she wanted me to just be in. She wanted to be even further in the background. so we have a long-standing history with Myanmar since 2012. We heard about the first human rights film festival that was happening there. It started already, I think, a year before in 2011. We heard about it and we thought, oh, we really have to go. So we got ourselves invited with a film we made about the Egyptian revolution. And then and I gave a one-day masterclass there. And it was just so exciting because it was this time of democratic transition, just an extraordinary, beautiful time. There was such curiosity and openness and thirst for freedom. And then the heads of the festival liked the class I did, and they said, "Oh, well, why don't you come back and teach for several months or even longer together with your partner?" So we did. So we moved to Myanmar, and we're filmmakers, so we were working on a film of our own during that period. So we lived in Myanmar for most of the time from 2012 to 17, and that's how we fell in love with the country, what was happening there, and its people. And then when the right after the military coup happened. I mean, we had left already in 2017 thinking our work has been done. Things are moving in the right direction. And then a week after the coup, I'll turn it over to some of the filmmakers here who can tell us what happened then.
Mike, would you like to pick up from that?
Oh, yes. So naturally, I think this is the right thing to do. This is how we just simply feel like it because at the beginning of the military coup, of course, we were protesting and well, just like almost everyone in Burma was doing. But we knew that with this military, protest probably is not going to work. Because so many people were inspired by revolution happened in Egypt and Ukraine, like by showing up, and also like mass protesting for so many days. Military dictatorship is going to just lose the well and just collapse by itself. That's what some people think. But well, so to be honest, we kind of believe we want to believe that too. But on the other hand, since we lived in that country, we knew it probably is not going to be the case. And I think it's important that we start recording the experience, and not in a news or journalistic form, but as a some sort of like a film or art form, so that we can be engaged. And that's how we started it.
Well, it is an extraordinary piece of work. I'd like now to turn to who will be known as Nemo and Natalie and ask you the same question, why you felt compelled to be involved, and if there's anything more you'd like to tell us about how the process of making the film.
Okay, when the military coup happened, it's kind of come to us that it is our responsibility to do this. And we have experienced the democracy, like a short democracy for 2015 to 20. And we know that we have opportunities to do many things and we have a taste of the freedom. So when the coup happened and we feel like it is this freedom and this right, everything has stolen from us, so that we have to speak out about it and we have to do something about it. So that's why I joined to do that.
Thank you. And Nemo, would you like to speak at all about that?
Yeah, no, I think my friends quite said completely. I think, yeah.
Thank you. Well,
yeah,
sorry, Petter, carry on.
I'll jump in, and then how it all happened, because when I just paused, it was like, so it's a week after the military coup. Nobody can hear what's happening, and then Corinne and I get a phone call from one of the filmmakers. It's all anonymous. We get a phone call saying, we want to document what's happening. Will you help us? So of course we're going to help you. When do we start? What can we do? Whatever you need, let's go. And that's how it grew. And we were astonished. Well, I call this form of filmmaking egoless filmmaking. There's no signature on the film. It's made by a collective. No faces are shown. It's one story. And what was amazing is that the filmmakers told us, they said, we want to do this film, and the only rule that we're going to have, there's going to be total freedom, because that's what the film represents, what's being denied to us. So creatively, everybody has total freedom. The only thing we've decided is that nobody's going to show their face, because we don't want anybody to get hurt. And we're like, wow, that's amazing. But we were really, creatively a bit worried at first. We thought, how are you going to emotionally move people if you're not showing faces? And then the filmmakers came up with these extraordinarily moving, personal, intimate stories without showing a face. And I think that's just amazing, really, really extraordinary. So I salute, and of course to their courage, because it was also why we found in the background why I want to help these people, because they're taking such tremendous risks, which many of them still continue to do so as we speak. So we thought, well, gosh, this is just so inspiring. So yeah.
It's incredible, and I think it's the creativity, as you say, the not showing the faces is so extraordinary, and actually sometimes makes these films even more powerful, because it's a reminder of why you have to be anonymous. The film is made in a unique way. Obviously, there's all the multiple footage, and at the beginning it says that some of it is partly fictionalized. Would anyone like to explain that distinction to me, please? Mike?
Okay. Oh, I was waiting for other people to jump in.
Whoever wants to speak to this one.
Well, yeah, of course. Obviously, some of the parts are fictionalized, but you kind of have to also understand that almost all of these incidents happened. Almost all of the incidents are based on true events. So even though on the film it may be presented in a fictionalized sort of way, it actually did happen. People actually did die. Lovers actually got separated. So they are all either autobiographical or biographical, and based on what happened in real life. And I think that's what made the stories much more powerful, because all we did was just simply tweaking it, but the raw material, the great original material, it's already there. So yeah.
I found the scene where the grandmother is talking to the military incredibly powerful, talking about the brave, she wasn't scared because she had to stand up for what she believed in. Would anyone like to speak about the kind of bravery and activism of all the filmmakers and everyone we see in this film? That sense of a community coming together to try to protest is really powerful.
I think I'm talking about only for myself, but I will kind of represent the whole Myanmar Film Collective. But I'm not sure that what we did can call bravery, but it was more like a moral obligations. Like we said in before that. We had a good thing going on in our country in the past 5 years during the democratic transition, and it was taken away overnight, right? So before we contacted our producer, we actually started this film right at the very same day that the military staged the coup. So we gather around people with from different field. I mean, that there's documentary filmmakers, the fiction filmmakers, the experimentalism, and that is why the film become what it is, the Myanmar Diaries. And so yeah, sorry, what was the question again?
Well, just about the bravery and the activism that you see on screen here, but I think what you've said is fascinating, because my next question actually was really a little bit more about how you managed to source the footage. If you're able to say that, I'd be really interested to know.
Sure, and maybe before we do that, I should also remind, onto your earlier question that we didn't talk about, is one of the reasons why the filmmakers retreated into their homes to make these intimate stories is also because it became a couple of weeks after it became impossible to film outside on the street, so they were compelled to do this for their own safety. Yeah.
Thank you.
And replying to Anna's questions, it's when we represent about the public and the bravery that the people came together to protest against the military, is that also it's because of, yes, the freedom of speech and everything has been stolen away, and there's been many atrocity, and we the people in Myanmar, they just want to end this once and for all, to, for the better future for our generations. That's what I think, that's what bring us together in such bravery.
Thank you. Peta, would you like to speak a bit about why you feel film is an important medium for these kind of stories? I mean, from my perspective, this is something that the news wasn't covering enough, or wasn't able to cover it.
No, it's not. It's just a crying shame. It makes me just furious that Myanmar is not on the world's media's attention. It just is not, and that just is so unjust. I just get tremendously angry about that, of course. So that's what we hope the film is going to change, of course, right? That's why we do it. I mean, and my partner and I, we always work on films about injustice. That's what we do. So what our friends are going through in Myanmar, it's a universal thing. It's not some far off country that I don't know much about somewhere else. It's a universal thing. Everybody should live in freedom, right? It just doesn't make any sense. But you had an earlier question for us about how we got how did this film? I mean, it's a miracle that this film exists at all, right? How do we get footage out of the country? So, shall we tell them our secret cookbook, how we managed?
Please do. Who would like to start? Nima,
you can. Yeah, it's not that kind of a secret. But the Myanmar military has some technical support from China and Russia, so obviously that we have to avoid all the how do I say that we have to be extremely careful about how we communicate each other, and like our producer said, that is the film that turned out the way it is kind of like a miracle thing, because we do not coordinate each other. How are we going to make the film between each filmmakers, because we kind of do our own thing, and it became a whole story. So yeah, we basically didn't communicate well each other to coordinate the film, the story, and everything, because of the security. And then we send the footages, and the editing, the edited timelines to our producer to make the whole film. So it's kind of like a amazing thing, actually. Yeah.
What also amazed me as well is that when the film came together, everyone is talking about the same things, and we have all been feeling the same things. That's also surprised me as well. When the film came together, everything is connected. So everything happens, and these all things are, what we all have been suffering. So that's kind of to me as a surprise as well.
That's interesting, isn't it, that a lot of people were having the same response separately, and this film is an important testament to that. Nearly 2 years on, would anyone like to explain for people watching what life on the ground is like now in Myanmar? And are journalists and filmmakers safe to do their work, for example?
I don't think so, no.
No. Okay. Yeah. And anything else you'd like to add about the situation at the moment?
Well, one thing we should add.
Yeah, actually,
go ahead.
Yes, Peter?
No, you go ahead first. Go ahead.
Actually, when we make the film, it was actually an early stage of the coup, so there is not much violence going on like today. So what we fair to say, even though that time we are very dangerous to be seen with a camera outside. So that's why most of the film is shot inside of the apartment of our homes, and now it's completely it's not safe to go outside. And there if there's for many examples, actually there's filmmakers who are known to have heavily tortured for their work and sentenced for 10 years for making a documentaries. So yeah.
So in the ground, and as the revolution like progress, there's the military conducting airstrikes in the ethnic areas, and also the schools were destroyed by the airstrikes, and children have been traumatized, and there are many horrendous situations more that happen. Even then, when we make the film, there's still the killings and how to say, and torture, but now it's getting worse and worse.
Right, and I only wanted to add to that is that when the credits, we try to be up to date when the film ends, that we tell you, right, how many people have perished, how many people have been arrested, how many people have been displaced. And for example, that last number, when the film came out, it was about, like in February, they said the estimate was about 200,000 people were internally displaced, running away, fleeing from the military. And now that number, they say, is about 2 or 3 million. And similarly with the number of people being killed, right? There was, for example, this summer, there was 4 prominent activists and politicians in prison who were publicly executed, right? To strike greater fear into the people's hearts. So the human rights situation is getting worse and worse. It's certainly not improving in by any measure. No. Yeah.
I think this underlines how incredibly important this film is, and for having in sort of consideration for Oscars. We hope that it's going to reach a wider audience. And also congratulations on several awards, including the Amnesty International Award for Best Film at Berlinale.
Sorry, I have to interrupt on that one. That's a very important prize, but the most important prize that I won is the Berlinale Documentary Award, which is based for the best documentary at the entire Berlinale Festival, and that's one of the most important international prizes there is, and that's why we automatically qualified for the Oscars. So, go team, go!
Yeah, congratulations, and also the Tony Elliott Award, which I was on the jury for. So it was.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally forgot. I didn't recognize the name. So yes, we're so grateful.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm very pleased to be here and to meet you all and then talk about your incredible work. I'd love to know from each of you what kind of comments you've had, whether it's Q&As like this or people that you've met who've seen the film and the international film community. Are there any particular comments or reactions that stand out in your memory that you'd like to share? Perhaps Mike, shall I ask you first?
Actually, I'm trying to recall because there have been quite a few actually. Well, the most practical comment that I do appreciate, of course, is what can we possibly do? It's they are being dead serious. What can we possibly do to either Burma or filmmakers for Burma or artists in Burma? What can we do? What do you guys need? This is well, it's not exactly a comment, it's more like a question, right? So, but to me, I think it's much more useful and more productive than, condescending comments like, oh, things are so bad. What are you guys going to do next? So yeah. So this is what I can like immediately think of right now. Maybe someone can much later, but for now,
And how
that's
do
it.
you answer that if people say, what can we do? Is there an answer to that?
Well, it depends on the country that the person is in, I suppose. If you are living in European Union or physical US or UK or in the West in general, you can definitely lobby your government to support the revolution in any way they can. But if they are in a place like, say, Hong Kong or Japan or Singapore, things get a little bit more specific, because each country has its own interest and involvement directly inside Burma. Sometimes they do have direct relationship or direct economic cooperation with the military junta. Sometimes some country will be sheltering the cronies and military generals who are, sympathetic to the coup. So in these specific cases, if I attend the festival or if I attend the Q&A, I would just specifically point out these things and say, hey, these are the areas you guys should be working on.
Yeah. Thank you. That's really helpful, I'm sure, for a lot of people watching. Nemo and Natalie, would you like to talk about any responses you've had to the film?
Well, actually, Mike took the questions that I was going to because this also for me this is that's the questions that I remember most is that people asking us what could they do and what could their country could possibly do but the people are more important, of course, and yeah uh 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 so when we were being asked these kind of questions, I also answer the same with Mike as well, that um but now I would like to add a bit that our producer also said that the internet, so the international communities and the how do I say, so basically that our country has been being ignored, and um what we are being received is their deeply concerned statements that is not very effective to the cost of the country, but and also that for example, the Switzerland ambassador is talking to like the military person Hunter, so things like that, right? So this is not very fine with us, very not okay with us. Uh yeah These, and also these so-called people, peace brokers, that yeah, for us, um uh the, the there will be only peace when the military is disbanded and May Online is answering for its crime. This is the only way for peace, and um, as for our filmmakers and the last part of the film, that our intention is that we just want the people to be heard about about how we enjoyed and our expressions. So yeah, and this is the question that I remember, and I would like to add a few the comments. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I generally find actually that it's even
Actually, my
off.
friend answered
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
all.
Very nice.
Oh, sorry, the internet is lagging. That's why I don't heard you. Yeah, you go ahead.
Oh no, I'm waiting for you. Go ahead.
Actually, my friend answers all the questions. It's okay.
Oh, well then I just add is that when we do Q&As together, it's actually I find it that the audience is initially just stunned into silence. And I've never made a film like that before, where it's the film is so emotionally overwhelming that people feel like a need to be quiet. So it's almost to the point that you feel like we shouldn't be doing a Q&A here. We should just have a quiet period of mourning. But then there's so many kind of questions that do come up, and part of it is not just about the facts, but also about the creativity of the filmmakers that come up, and people are amazed that they were able to weave between fiction and nonfiction, that sometimes people actually mix up the two, which I think is also wonderful. It shows the power of their storytelling. Like, for example, I remember in one Q&A we got a question. Someone asked it with the first film with the girl with the construction hat. Someone asked, "Oh, did she really get shot? Were you really following that as it happened, even though it's a fictionalized scene?" So hats off to the filmmakers for sure. Yeah.
In terms of the responses, you've talked to me a little bit about those, but what is your real hope, each of you, that audiences will learn from this film? What specific things about your country are you hoping that they will take away? Mike, could I ask you?
Well, we just want the audience to know that sometimes peace and democracy come at cost, come with a very steep cost. And I think it also is related to actually your previous question. I could think of one right now. In one particular film, at one particular film festival, one of the audience members did ask me, at the end of the film, you are showing armed revolution. Do you think violence is the answer? This is his exact word. I still remember. And I must confess, for a few seconds, I was quite angry. I was quite angry because has he not been seeing the whole film? I mean, how did we come to this phase? So well, but fortunately, I was able to calm myself down internally, and I answered him that, you know, do you think you can reason or negotiate peace with people like Hitler or Vladimir Putin? It is the same thing with us. And I hope that people actually do understand, because there are some people who are either ignorant or totally unprepared for that kind of unreasonable tyranny, that they still kind of naively think, oh, peaceful resolution is going to work out. Let's go sit there, just like the Swiss ambassador, that Nemo mentioned just a few seconds ago. They actually, they are actually people who are still ignorant or stupid enough to think that sitting down together with these people and say, hey, let's think about some sort of peaceful resolution to, go back to democracy. How can you possibly do that? And sometimes the armed uprising or armed revolution is the only answer, and you should not be lumping this action with this ugly word called violence. And I just want people to know about this.
Thank you for that, Mike. Thank you. Natalie, would you like to talk a bit about how you want people to feel after watching this film, what you hope that they will take away from it specifically?
Actually, it's the same thing with us. We couldn't speak out well when there's violence, and we have to fear of our life to speak out. So what I really want is for our voice, the whole Myanmar voice, to be heard. The revolution, the people, the suffering to be heard from the world, and also got a support from the world. So even though the stand together with solidarity, and also the support for the war refugees that have been ran away from the military evil regime. So things like that. We just want to be heard, and also got the support from every aspect. Yes.
Thank you. Petter, would you like to add anything to what we've just discussed there?
Maybe it's also, I think, again salute the filmmakers that I see there. The film is just one example of this resistance that's happening in the country, right? And that's been universally recognized. I mean, for example, in September there's a UN rapporteur for human rights who wrote this report on Myanmar, and they're saying, look, this country's forgotten. We got to do something about it. The General Assembly, please get some attention. But they also point out, look, it's extraordinary despite this super powerful military and the regime of terror it's throwing it against its people, there's this continual organized resistance, right, which has led to armed resistance, but also peaceful nonviolent protests. People are not showing up for work, right? People don't pay their electricity bill, and on, right? Doctors, nurses, teachers. No, I'm not going to teach, right? So, and that's extraordinary. And lawyers, right, helping at tremendous risk all these political prisoners. So, and I think that needs to be recognized and saluted, right? Because it's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're coming to the end of our session, but does anyone want to talk about anything specifically that we haven't touched on yet? We've talked a bit about the making of the film, people's reactions, but is there anything you'd love the audience to know that we haven't talked about?
Well, maybe one thing is that the filmmakers are putting together now. We have a very rudimentary platform, right? The Myanmar Film Collective. There's a website, MyanmarFilmCollective.org, I think, right? And it's been run by members of the platform themselves, and they're now approaching different foundations to try to make this into basically a professional outfit that can then have the funds to support filmmakers that can keep doing their work from Myanmar. So the resistance continues on the creative front. Yeah,
that's wonderful to know. Thank you.
Yeah,
Mike, were you about to say anything, Mike? Any final words?
Sorry, I cannot think of anything at this moment.
I just want to say something. Like we said before, there are many displaced people inside of the country and also outside of the country, and now the winter is already here, and there are millions of people that as a war refugee, the piling, eating, shelter, food, hygienic product, clothing. So, and also the people that has to run outside of the country that needs that trying to claim protection. So that I just want to say that please support and help us any way that you can, and also that the governments that help the asylum seekers as possible as they can, and also for the people that that needed the support, because during this time of year that people needed humanitarian aids.
Maybe one thing I was just reading. I've been we've been working on another film, so I've been offline for 2 weeks. But I was just reading the Myanmar Now, one of the best websites about what's happening in Myanmar, just before we started to chat, and I read that the U.S. Congress has passed now a Burma Act of targeted sanctions against the military junta, and it's certainly not enough. It doesn't include military aid, but it's certainly a start, and that makes me so optimistic that, oh, look, things can happen. So that's why we want people to see the film, because it's not a reason for despair at all. It's actually just a start to get attention to what's happening in Myanmar.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again on such a powerful film, and I hope that people will spread the word and watch it widely. And thank you so much for joining me today to talk about Myanmar Diaries. Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.